Everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. Delighted on this episode to be talking with author Amalia Hoffman. Amalia, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited
Yeah,
and
yeah, I'm
to
excited
chat
to
with
talk with you.
you.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for saying yes. Thanks for jumping on. You have a couple of lovely books on display in the background there, I see.
Yeah, I have about 12 books, and I have two more coming in 2024, next year.
Wonderful, wonderful. We'll
And
make sure to talk about those.
Yeah, it's kind of fun, as the shelves get filled with books.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of fun, it's the greatest thing is when you have your first book, that's like, wow. And
Mm-hmm,
then
mm-hmm.
you say, oh, okay, maybe I can do that again.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so I'm
What
really excited.
Oh, sorry.
I'm saying I'm really excited, and I'm excited about, it's just something I always wanted to do, and now I'm actually doing it.
Yeah.
So it's a great feeling, to do something you love, something you always dreamed of doing, and then you take that dive,
Hmm.
and you say, "Oh, maybe I can do it."
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
absolutely.
easy. It's not easy, but it's extremely rewarding. It really is.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned wanting to be an author at a young age. What was that initial
Well,
link to the written
it's
word?
like I grew up, I had two sisters. One was a year and a half younger, one was a year and a half older, and we lived in the same, we slept in the same room. And at night, my father would, read us a story, read us a story. And he was a wonderful father, but he was really tired. And he would like, once upon a time, there was a princess. And we never knew what happened at the end of the story. Did the princess get married? Did she fall in love with the prince? There was never an end to the story. So I started making my own ending.
Ah,
Uh,
love it, love it. Yeah.
yeah, I started making my own ending, and we did. I grew up. We didn't have television. I grew up in Israel, and so it allowed us actually more time to dream on our own, and
Hmm.
so I started. I wasn't really doing books. What I was doing is I was doing greeting cards, and in the greeting cards, I would like tell a whole story, like anniversary. I wrote a poem for my mom and dad, birthday. That was very big, making a greeting card, because you couldn't just go to the store and get a greeting card that said something very smart already.
Hmm.
So I started doing that, and that was a big thing for me. I'll get paper and I'll do the illustration, and I'll do the writing, and I think sometimes I look at it and say, uh, it's better than what I'm doing now. So that was the thing. I think the fact that you know, we had few books, very few books. I love them. I love the books. I read a lot, but I wasn't really doing books. But I did art all the time. I think my first painting was all black. It was all black. And
Hmm.
my mother they almost took me to a psychiatrist. And my mother asked me what it is, and I said it's a chicken coop. And she said, "Well, where the chicken?" I said, "Well, they're all asleep and it's dark," which makes sense. Then I think they realized that I only had a black crayons because I lost the rest of them.
Ah,
So, but I always, all I remember all my life is crayons and blues and colored papers. And I did a lot of crafts. I did a lot of stuff with eggs. Like we will make two holes, blow it, get the egg hollow, and then decorate it, and I had faces like that from all over the world, people from all over the world, in faces on eggs. So I
hmm.
did
Hmm.
that. I did a lot of creatures from nutshells. You cut the nutshell in half,
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
and then and then you have the two halves that you can really, I made turtles, I made ladybug, things like that. Then we got involved with puppetry, We started in camp. They taught us how to do puppets by taking toilet paper roll. And
Mm.
you put like some newspapers inside, and then you shred newspaper with flour and salt and water, and you make the mush, and then you
Hmm.
build your puppet from it. And we started it in camp, but it turned out to be a real puppet theater. We had a business. We had a
Love it.
real business. This was a really good business. The richest people in Jerusalem picked us up in Cadillacs so we can do puppet theater for their kids. And we had Snow White, we had Little Red Riding Hood, we had a couple of Israeli stories, different, and you could pick the show you wanted. And my mother made the costumes. My father built the theater. It was a serious business. My sister ended up being an actress and doing it as a career.
Oh, wow,
So
wow. Love it.
I didn't do that, but we wrote the script, which is a little bit like. So for me, it all started in childhood. It really did. We had a very supportive pairs of parents, and in this tiny apartment on a fourth floor, we had a whole puppet theater going, and we did it for the kids in the neighborhood. And I think I grew up in a home that was extremely creative.
Love it.
It kind of opened it up. Over the course of my life, I was mostly working as an artist, showing, in New York galleries. Then I started the business of doing window display, for Tiffany's, for Chanel, for all the stores. I would bring all the props, and like I would see the children gazing through the glass and looking, all
Hmm.
this Christmas thing. I had unicorns, I had elves, I had, all made stuff I made in my studio. And I saw them looking, and I said, well, how about picture books?
Hmm.
It's the
Hmm.
same idea. You're telling a story with visuals.
Hmm.
And so one day I actually came home and did it. I joined the Society of Illustrators, and I started writing. I started making connections, knowing people, like-minded people that also wanted to do it. And we were all, some people were very advanced. They had books and stuff, and some people were just coming to a conference to learn something about the business.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what I did. I came in completely green. I had a couple of ideas, and I had a portfolio, and I happened to win an award in LA. It was a big thing. And it was a lot of fun because, the people were so much fun. It was a real party. So that's how I started. I made a tons of connections
Love it.
over doing that. And I learned the business because I thought a picture book could be like this, could be like that. And I realized there are rules. It's
Hmm.
got to be 34 pages, and it's got to have a beginning, a meaning, and an end. And how you do a dummy. Like the first dummy I sent was just stapled, and I realized, no, you can't do it this way. There are tons of, it's a business that you have to learn. It's a craft.
Hmm.
And so, and then I would contact the people I met, and I would say, do you know how you do this and how you do that? And that's really like a community. I think it helps a lot. And then I did the first book, and then I did the second book, and now I'm on my 13th
Love it.
and
Love it.
14th. And I hope, it's not how many books you do. It's more, uh, like I think every author, every illustrator, they're looking for the catharsis,
Hmm. Hmm.
this something, and so it always keeps you on edge.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
That
not like,
drive to
okay, I'm gonna do
create.
one, I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do three, I'm gonna do four. No, no, it's not about that. It's really not. If you have one that you're proud of, that's enough for a lifetime. It really is.
Do you have a favorite?
Uh, you know, I don't have a favorite because I work in so many genres.
Uh-huh. Love that. Yeah,
I
love
don't
that.
just, one book is like the Brave Cyclist, my book, The Brave Cyclist,
Hmm.
that's for older kids. It's, I would say you could do it, you can show it to a 5-year-old, but you can also read it to a 14, 15-year-old.
One of
So
my favorites.
I'm really proud of this book. This book, I didn't do the illustration. The illustrations were done by Chiara Fidel, who is an Italian illustrator, because it's not the style that I would be good at illustrating, but it's a nonfiction, and it's about Gino Bartali, who was a champion bicyclist back in the 1930s. And
Hmm.
during the Holocaust, he was an avid Christian, and during the Holocaust, he saved Jews, about 800 Jews, by smuggling false documents for them, by sticking them in his bike frame and smuggling them across Italy so that they could be made into fake documents, and then he will bring them back to Florence and distribute it to all these people he didn't know. I found out about the story when I was in Israel. In Israel, I was visiting the Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem, and I
Hmm.
saw that name on the Righteous Among the Nation list of Italian people, and I was so impressed, and I wrote this story, and it was an emotional thing, and I'm very proud of that story, because I keep on getting requests for presentations, not necessarily from Jewish groups. Like, the story really hit the heart of universal groups, because it's such an emotional story, and that man, he just, so I'm very proud of it. On the other hand, I have a board book
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
babies. I have a board book for babies, and it's called All Colors, and as you open it, you learn the colors, but you also make a human being, and at the end it shows you that people come in all colors.
Love it.
And that is, in a way, a story for a baby, saying, we're all equal, no matter what color we come in. So it's a message, but it's not like, hey, you gotta be good, you gotta play with that way. It's not like
Hmm.
that. So I'm just as attached to this little thing as I am to, a big story. Then I have a fun book
Love
that
it.
came
One of
out
my
in,
favorites.
yeah, and that some of them won awards. And this is a book about a kid who is trying to create a monster unsuccessfully, and he realizes, or she realizes after a while, that monsters don't have to be scary, and then the monsters do things that maybe his friends do, like they play with crayons, they go to the library to find out about humans, they try to show how scary humans are. So this is safe for ages 4 to 7, and it's the same message. Anything that's different than new is not necessarily a monster.
Hmm. Hmm.
I like the message. What I try to do is I try to give messages without being dogmatic, without being preachy.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think that's the purpose of children. The last thing children want is a lecture. They don't want a lecture. They really don't. So you somehow want to give a message, but you have to do it in a fun way. The fun thing is that the book is also translated. I'm showing you the upside down because I don't read Chinese. That must be the reason. I know that this is my name in
Ah,
Chinese.
yeah.
I figured that out. But this is so fun because now you got this book, and the message goes to China. And,
Love it.
and it's like, wow, Chinese
Hmm.
kids are reading my books. I just love the idea. Besides, look at this calligraphy.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I love English, but with all due respect, this is so much more beautiful.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
so it's a book that I'm very proud of. It did very well. Got a lot of good reviews. And then I have another book, also for the same age group, with the same publisher, and that's called Masha Manching.
Mm,
It's a book
mhm,
about a goat that's tired of eating the food in a farm, and she decides to go to a French restaurant. And so she eats, so she gets to the restaurant. She's not exactly sophisticated enough to go to a French restaurant, and there is this snobbish waiter. And she does all the things, like she eats the basket where the baguette is, and she sneezes too loud and she eats the table, you know. And finally she realizes that maybe in a farm she only eats hay, but
mhm,
at least she can burp. And at least she can jump up and down. She doesn't have to sit quietly in a chair. And the message is like she's trying to sneeze and the waiter freaks out. The message is maybe you can have less, but it's in a place where you are with friends, among friends. You're sharing this little bit of straw with
mhm,
good friends who are like-minded, who like what you're doing. You don't have to be someone else. And at the end, she opens a restaurant for her friend.
mhm.
Uh,
Love
and I
it.
put all this French food. I kind of remembered all the French I learned in high school, and the book is also in Chinese now. I just
I
loved it.
love it.
Everything in Chinese looks better. I don't know why. So I'm just as proud of that. I have a book which is which came out with PJ Library, which is a Jewish publisher, and it's called My Hands Make the World. And um, the idea, how kids do fingerprints like that.
Mhm,
Uh, and I think it's one of the best things you can do with a baby. It makes a mess, so most mothers don't really like it. So, but it's terrific for kids. So, talking about the word, the word was created by God, and I grew up, always thinking, who the hell is God, and how did He do that?
mhm, mhm,
He created the word. So I thought about maybe making the child into a god, and the child is creating the word, so to speak. So what I did is I went back to the Bible, and so it starts by just making a mess on a page,
mhm,
because it says in the Bible that in the beginning everything was tohu vavohu, which means there is no word for it in English. It means a total mess.
mhm,
So
mhm,
the kid is just, with the fingers, and then, the hands make the light and the dark,
mhm, mhm.
and then they make so it's very, very simple, the sky and this sea, and at the hands are, the lights. It's really the text of the Bible, but there is no God in it.
Love it. It's
Because
it's a
God
beautiful
is an
book.
abstract thing that kids absolutely don't get. To them, they are God.
Mhm, mhm,
Uh, Kids see things you know, from their own perspective. And at the end, the hands are resting, just like God did in a seventh day.
mhm,
And,
mhm,
kind of resting, and also uh, appreciating
mhm, mhm,
what they have done. So the idea of this book is that the creation really appears in many, many, literature, many, many stories of different religions. And in every
mhm.
religion, there is some kind of a God, whether it's a visible God or whether it's there. And the kids are like, oh, thank you, you created the world for us.
Mhm,
Uh,
mhm,
so the idea was to get away from it and do a different type of, not a religious book, but a book that uh, kind of relate to them.
mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
so I'm very proud of it. It did very well. Now I'm doing another book about also with hands, but I can't spill the beans yet because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
coming out. So I gotta keep my mouth shut. And so, then I have a book um, that is really cute, and that's again, it's for babies. So like I
Mhm.
can go from a baby to and actually I'm thinking maybe I'll write a graphic novel for teenagers.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Uh,
Big
so
graphic
that's
novel
that's
fan.
that's something I'm working on. But again, it's like more like long term, because I have because I have things that, I do, and I have things that I think about and so on. So, the thing with me is that I don't have one style. I kind of feel that each book deserves their own style.
Mhm.
Um, so it's a little sometimes hard to identify my book because I don't use the same technique. Like for this book, Astropy, I used chalk on
Mhm.
on a paper that's like rough, and it's about a pea that jumped out of his pea pod and went to space. And all the book is about vegetables, and the spaceship is a carrot.
Mhm.
This is really good to people who try to teach their kids how to eat good food,
This is true.
picky
This is
eaters.
true.
And then all the planets are vegetables. And at the end, he has like disasters in the book. The book has a crisis. The spaceship crashes, and so as you go from page to page, it's what you call a page turner.
Mhm.
I mean, in
Mhm.
all the books you turn the page, but babies love to do this.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
love to do this.
Print awareness. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the advantage of a book, a physical book versus a ebook.
Mhm.
Also,
Mhm.
they're small. This is small. This is the kind of thing you can put in a tiny hand. And a kid can, and also it's very thick. I have pictures of kids eating my books, chewing. And the idea is, well, how much chewing does it take to destroy a board book? These are called board books. So, then the control shuttle comes and saves the pea. And at the end, he comes back. He has a telescope, which is an asparagus, and he sees
Mhm.
Earth from far away. And at the end, he goes down with another spaceship, and then he goes back to Earth on a parachute, which is a mushroom. Believe it or not, uh, I started thinking, oh, this is going to be very simple. It turned out to be very time consuming because I had to
Mhm.
learn a lot about space.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
I never really knew, how you come down from a spaceship. I mean, the spaceship, and then I started thinking, wait a minute, it's a baby's book, but somebody is gonna criticize me somewhere. So I said, what do you mean? This is not how a spaceship comes back to Earth. So I did a lot of research. So in a way, it's also a book about space. Um, I think this is something when you work on a book, but you have different layers.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
the book has a story, but then it also teaches about diversity, or it teaches about, something scientific or something else. So,
Mhm.
you try to make, it's very hard to do it in a board book that has like 10 pages,
Yeah.
something like that, and
Mhm.
50 words. So in a way, even though they're like, oh my God, how difficult. When I went to the library looking at board books, which was I did when I started with, I said, this is really easy. I can do that in a week. Uh, and then I realized it's much easier to, in a way, to have all the space for all the words you want.
Mhm. Mhm.
But then when you have to funnel your word and be specific, uh, that's more difficult. But I like the
Yeah.
challenge. Yeah. So, I don't have a favorite, but I kind of look at different thing for different groups. One
Mhm.
fits this and one fits that. And, every book has a different value.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's how I look at it. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
So as we close out with maybe a final question or two, curious about the books that are on the way from you,
Yeah.
and I am already on board for a graphic novel, by the way.
Yeah.
So anything that you would want to share about the books coming in 2024?
Well, I have two books that are coming in 24, so I can't share about them much.
Hmm. Hmm.
They are, one is about the holiday of Passover, I can say that,
Hmm.
but
Wonderful.
completely different takeoff on Passover because kids really need books about Passover. And, in the past we had books like, this is a matzah, this
Hmm.
is a gefilte fish, this is a Haggadah. And the kids are tired of it.
Right,
So
right.
the book is like an adventure. It's a lot of fun. And it's like kind of different. It's not a board book, it's a picture book, which
Hmm.
means it
Hmm.
has 32 pages. Then I have a book about another kind of unknown holiday, but it's called Shavuot, which is a holiday where you bring your first fruits to uh, to show that it's an agricultural holiday.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I grew up with this culture. So for me, it's kind of nice because I can bring up my own culture into
Love
the
that.
book. Each book is done in a different technique. One is paper cuts, and the other one is done more in fingerprints and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I'm working on a book about peace,
Love it.
um, which I haven't sold yet. I think that is the subject. Uh, Peace means many different peace and war and peace, but not
Hmm.
like a Russian novel, no.
All right.
No, no. So I'm working, and that I'm doing in a technique that I have never worked in, a new technique called chinkole, where, you, as a kid in kindergarten, you know how you take like tissue paper and you
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
glue it. So I'm doing it in that. And then
Oh,
I'm
I love
working
it.
on a graphic novel on a discovery, something that was discovered in Egypt. I've been to Egypt, I saw it. Something I've been doing this for 5 years, in different ways. I started this way. Now I'm thinking a graphic novel. So graphic novels are very big. I've never done it. It's very challenging. I got a lot to learn. I am a complete amateur in graphic novel, but that's a challenge.
I love
So
that. I love the way you're expanding, and would be glad to have you back on to talk about the graphic
thank you
novel when
so
it comes
much, and
together.
thank you for inviting me. It's so nice to talk to you.
Yeah, great to talk with you. Do you have websites, things like that that you want to mention for listeners that want to connect with your work and see more?
Uh, I have a website
Hmm. Hmm.
that is very extensive. It's www.amaliahoffman.com.
We
Or
will
even
link it.
if you click Amalia Hoffman, there are not that many. I checked there, but a couple of and that has all my books. It's got. I'm also a storyteller. Like I tell my stories. Like for Macho Manching, I have. So
Mhm.
it tells a lot about the what I do, my books, but also my storytelling, so people can if they want to contact me, they can contact me, and I do like a show.
I love
And
it, love it.
I have my history. I have a page about, if you click on a book, you can see where to buy it. You can see the videos, presentations that I did, coloring pages that you can download for free. Um, I have one book that has a recipe. So you can download the recipe for free. A lot of fun thing, games, like
Hmm.
recognition games and stuff. Each book has different things. And any teacher or any parent, go ahead and print it out. There's no seal on it. You can do whatever you want. It's printable. So it's a source of helping teachers to, some of the books, like The Brave Cyclist, I have a very extensive teacher guide.
Great, great.
I also
Always
have
helpful.
yeah, it's very helpful because a teacher can say, well, what am I going to do with this book? So the kids can read it, but then they can do a whole, um, lesson about it, or, extend whatever they're teaching with it. I have one for Masha Munching about funny goats, goat facts,
Hmm.
all the
Hmm.
things I learned that goats do. It's really funny. So each book has different things depending on what I feel it could be used for a teacher or librarian, a parent, something like that. So that's all on my website. And I invite people, go ahead and if you want to contact me, I'm always here and I answer my emails.
Wonderful,
Be happy
wonderful.
to answer.
Well, thank you so much, and
Thank
we
you
will
so
have
much.
to, yeah, we'll have to plan another chat sometime in the future about
Yeah, oh
graphic
yeah.
novels and creative methods and all of those things.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Great to talk with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.